giving voice to the bear, which is sort of the central theme of the album. The seven first songs of it follow sort of a story arc where we follow the rhythm, the annual rhythm of the bear, which of course also mirrors the annual rhythm and cycle of Mother Earth, and so many other of these movements of life, death, and regeneration that we see in nature.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com. I am so excited once again to talk to our friend Einar Selvik of Wardruna. How are you today, sir?
Hello, sir. All good, and thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I mean, we've one of our very first interviews at Ghost Cult when we still had a magazine was with you, and
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of meeting you and talking to you and interviewing you several other times. It's been a few years. Happy New Year. Happy new album for Birna. Very excited. Hopefully I didn't mispronounce that. I tried so hard to get these names right.
No, all good. You did well.
The two goals I have for later in my life is I would love to learn like some Norwegian, and I would love to learn Icelandic so I could like follow my favorite bands and actually understand the lyrics in the native tongue. But that's a long range goal.
Yeah. Well, it's important to have goals like that.
Right. You, in the midst of releasing this album and other projects, you just wrapped up a huge tour of which we were really very humbled and lucky to send somebody out to Red Rocks to cover that show with you and Chelsea Wolfe. And it was really, even though I wasn't there personally, it just seemed like a magical experience talking to our correspondent, Jamie. So I want to thank you again and your team for letting us come out. And not a lot of artists have played there even more than once, so I know it had to be like a very special environment. I think the outdoors is really where this project shines the most.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, place and space has always been an important part of how we approach the live situation, and of course a place like Red Rocks where I don't know, cameras and video and you can't really do it justice. You have to be there. It's truly a breathtaking place, and the steep the steep amphitheater, and the amount of people you fit into it, and under the open sky with these magnificent rocks and the history of the landscape and all of that together, it just makes it a really special thing. So yeah,
I know from our previous interviews it's a delicate process shipping your gear and these ancient instruments around the world, especially with the elevation of Colorado and maybe the journey to get to the venue. Is that difficult for you at all? Is there extra special considerations to make to protect the gear even more than usual?
Well, course, we've been doing this for a long time, so we get better and better at it, and have better ways and better ways of transporting them now than we used to. Even though it's always a little bit of a stress factor, I think those things are actually going better and better. But yeah, as you say, some of these instruments are quite delicate and sensitive, yeah, especially in outdoor settings, and where you either have high elevation, how much humidity is in the air, or the temperature. All of those things make it extra challenging, but at the same time, that's what keeps you on your toes. You never quite know how they're going to behave, which is also, it's for better and worse, that aspect, I would say.
Thanks for indulging me. I just had that on my mind recently as I went back and I just reflected on that experience for Jamie and ourselves. And again, we've covered you all over the world, and small intimate places, outdoors, beyond the gates, outdoor festivals, things like that. So it was really a thrill to be able to participate in that leg of the tour. And I know that Birna was created over many years, and I want, you've been just working all the time. I hope you take some time for yourself and your family, because I feel like you don't ever stop.
Uh, yeah, well, uh, you kind of have a point. It's no, I'm it's important to have a balance, and but that is also why I like doing it over many years, because for me, especially when I work with Wardruna, it's different when you work for TV or a game where the deadline is often yesterday. Um, but with Wardruna, I like to have space and time and be patient in that process, where I have like these bulks where I go really intensively into it, and then I step out, step back, get a sense of it, get distance to it, and an overview, and go back in it. So it's it's sort of a on off process, and in that process a lot of things mature. So I can also give a lot of heart into details, and into the poetry, into the thoughts and sort of purpose behind the music. So yeah, for well, the first album took 7 years, so at least I'm not that patient, I guess.
Right on. I feel like this, all the records are very special to me and to the fans, but I think that the concept of this record is it feels very grave and urgent, like important. I
Mm.
think we've talked before about the relationship between humankind and nature, and our very bad mistreatment of the planet. This is a thing that I know it's not far from your mind and your musical work. So I just feel like this is there's definitely a thread here that there's a real compelling story, a concept behind this record.
Yeah, it is, because giving voice to the bear, which is sort of the central theme of the album. The seven first songs of it follow sort of a story arc, where we follow the rhythm, the annual rhythm of the bear, which of course also mirrors the annual rhythm and cycle of Mother Earth, and so many other of these movements of life, death, and regeneration that we see in nature. And I guess these things have always been at the heart of our work, but I would say that on the last two albums, they are perhaps addressed less esoteric and more directly than on the previous works. And yeah, I don't know, these we have to remember that we are also cyclic beings, even though we totally separated ourselves and try to just try to keep the same tempo no matter what's happening around us in our surroundings. And I don't know, there are many lessons to be learned, I think, in observing these movements, cyclic movements of the world. They tell us a lot. It can be the simplest things. Eat locally, eat according to the season you're in. You gather, and certain things you gather for the winter. Certain times of year have behavior that is more appropriate than other types of behavior or ways of living. But yeah, we're totally removed from that, or a lot of us are, especially. Yeah, our society isn't really designed to keep that rhythm, and that makes us, here, how I understand why people are depressed and sick throughout the whole winter, because they're not, or we are not. We're doing the same thing and behaving the same way as we do during the summer. And I think that's not natural. But of course, it's difficult to follow these cycles because of the societies we live in. But in any case, I think it's worth noticing, and it's worth having a conscious relationship to these facts, because that is what they are. They are fact. We are also cyclic beings, part of a cyclic world, and it can be beneficial for us to pay attention to those cycles and be part of them.
Nice. No notes. I do feel like musically, in addition to all the usual elements of the albums, I think there's some new collaborators. I know Lindy-Fay Hella has been with you for so long, but I really
Mm,
feel like this is maybe her finest work ever on this
mm,
record. And she has her solo material is wonderful. Also, I highly urge everyone to go check her out and her stuff.
agreed.
But this is her performance on here is unbelievable, honestly.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. She is such a Lindy is such a force of nature, and she has such a unique character, primal character, and unique way of thinking and approaching music and melody. Her range is beyond anything I've ever worked with, and yeah, she has a special touch to her creative side as well. So yeah, it's a gift to work alongside and work on these songs. And I agree, she really um, added a lot of beauty and heart to many of these songs.
Right, and she's on equal footing. Just so people, if people are not aware of the credits, she's on equal footing as a composer now, and you know it shows. And I think it also speaks to you. You could continue to forge your own personal path as an artist, and
Mm,
it's vulnerable to let somebody into your process and collaborate equally with you. It's hard. It was hard for me when I made music. I was like, oh, I don't want to let anybody share. This is mine, and it's hard. And I think it says a lot also about you. It's just 20 twenty
yeah,
five
no,
years of music for you, more than that.
but me and Lindy, we've been working uh, alongside and also creatively collaborated for such a long time now. So I think we have a good balance of when to take space and when to give space, and certain things I'm really decided about what I think she should do, and other times it's more just creating the space for her to do her thing, and then we build upon that. So yeah, it's a good creative relationship for sure.
Right. And as always, nature is also a player on the album. Once again, I know Jonna came in and is credited as field recordings, which I love, and
Yeah,
we've talked a
also
lot about
singing,
that.
also singing.
Also,
She
yes,
also sings.
that's great.
Yeah. No, but
Yeah.
Jonna is also a really a really good multi-talented artist, doing anything from painting to jewelry to music, and perhaps most famous for her filmmaking and her wonderful way of communicating. Yeah, I have great respect, and for me, those field recordings she did, they are really something I've been thinking about for such a long time. The sound of singing eyes, which is what she has been working with for several years. That's a sound, a really unique sound, almost like the frozen lake is singing whale song, in a sense. And that's a sound that I wanted to and hunted for since I started Wardruna 25 years ago or something like that. So to finally be able to work with it and integrate it into this song of the hibernating bear, the dormant dreams. That was such a gift, and in many ways for me, almost like the heart of the album is that long 15-minute, yeah, dreamscape of the sleeping bear.
Yeah, it forms like an ellipsis. Those 3 or 4 tracks in a row, right?
Yeah,
That's meant to
yeah,
be. I picked up on that. I was like, okay, I
yeah,
don't know the. I could look up the translations, but I was like, oh, it's clearly this is a suite, in a way.
yeah.
And we've talked before. You were saying this is like your life's work. You're searching for these sounds in your head, in your heart, to find. They exist in nature. How do you track them? How do you get them onto tape for your
Yeah.
or digital for yourself? And I'm always impressed at how every record is different than the last. They're never, it's your sound, but it's not repeated. It's always new
Mm.
and fresh, and it feels like a brand new thing every time I hear a brand new Wardruna song, I feel like, oh, this is a new language, a new set of values that we don't have yet.
Yeah, it's a journey, and I'm not the same person as I was like 5 years ago, or 10 or 15 years ago. So even though the creative concept is the same as day one, the instrumentation is more or less the same. But I'm not the same person. We are not the same persons. Our skills have developed. Our knowledge have develop. Yeah, the skill set of how things are produced, recorded, captured, played, all of those things evolve all the time potentially. And of course, the most important thing is, for me as a composer, is that whatever comes from a place that is real, and I'm not moved by the same things as I used to be. That's a continuous process, and of course that will change the outcome as well of what is created. I don't think I could ever do the whole AC/DC thing where all the songs are more or less the same, have the same shape or feel to them. I can't repeat myself in a way. So for better or worse, some people will probably like the old stuff better. Some people will like that journey. That is out of my control. I create the music I want to hear, and I want to. I do it for me predominantly, or we do it for us, and whatever comes afterwards, then it lives its own life and it has to stand on its own feet once you release it out into the world, and so everything becomes a bonus.
Right on. I appreciate that so much, and I say all the time, I think whatever artistic endeavor you pursue, it has to first begin with you and for you, and
Yeah.
not for any other outward, result, pleasure, accolades, pat on the back. We just need to do it for ourselves, number one, or it's not pure or good. But that's me, and that's you. I appreciate that we have the same mind there. Any considerations for performing Birna as a whole piece? I know it's very in fashion now to do whole albums. You've done whole performances of albums, or selections from suites and things from the trilogy and stuff. And you mentioned about like what fans seem to like, and we, as you get on and on, 25 plus years, obviously I think fans always gravitate to like the first thing they heard that captured them, so they latch on to that like a baby and a mom. But I think this would work as a standalone piece to be performed live, if you've thought about it.
Yeah, I haven't thought. Well, I haven't really. It's not in the pipeline at this point, but at some point it would be interesting to compose, no, to perform. Yeah, maybe whole albums. They are sort of more or less all of them are have that potential, I think, and perhaps. Perhaps this album especially, it is perhaps the album we've created so far that where it makes most sense, in my opinion, to listen to it as a whole, because it's quite symphonic in that sense that it several of the parts, they lean on each other, they borrow from each other, and they kind of shine best when they're in the right context and together with the other songs. So yeah, I definitely think it would be a really cool thing to do at some point. So who knows? But in terms of live set in general, I think I don't understand these, or I can understand that people get tired of playing their biggest hits, but still I think you should do it, because that relation between you and your audience, that's a give and take. So it's not a one-way thing, and it's kind of disrespectful towards the people who are actually responsible for putting you on that stage. So for me, I try always to tell a story throughout the set, and there needs to be a balance between all, something that represents the whole catalog, I think, and new things should always be introduced gently. Yeah, so it can grow into something. That's in my personal opinion, that is how I like to do it, at least, to keep that balance and carefully introduce the new stuff.
Nice. I know it's always a challenge. Fans often they get very possessive with an artist that they love, and that's flattering, but also can get a little overreaching. Hopefully, nobody is too much on you in person when they meet you. Speaking of live, as we start to wind this up, and I want to give you back your time. I was thinking for full performances, my friends at Roadburn would be the place. They've hosted you many times and featured your work there, or Beyond the Gates. And we're going to have you back in the States for Fire in the Mountains in Montana, which we've covered before, and is a wonderful, by all accounts, a wonderful festival and the right location for.
Absolutely, that would be
band.
Something special.
Yeah, it's going to be a special show for sure. And the lineup is stellar, as always. They do a great job. So I know you have a lot of touring ahead of you. Anything else you're working on that you can share? Any other projects or stuff in the pipeline?
No, actually, my focus now will be on just come out of this long creative process with this album, and now it's time to focus on stage and doing concerts that demands in a different way, and I like to do those things in a healthy manner, and not have like 1,000 other projects going along or running alongside touring, because that's that's not very healthy to be speaking of experience, from experience. But so my focus will be on live things. We have things in the pipeline that we will announce quite soon. Also, things for North America is in the pipeline. So we're working on some exciting things that will be really, probably we'll start revealing stuff in the shortly after the album is released. That's the plan.
Well, amazing. We're here for it. Thank you so much for always being kind to us and blessing us with your time and your grace. It's a great thing for us.
That goes both ways.
Yeah, I appreciate you. It's our whole existence, 12 plus years, my career as a journalist after I played music has been following you. So I'm very thankful to see you again and have this time with you. Thank you so much, Einar.
Pleasure is mine, sir.
All right.
Yeah. Until the next time.
Until the next time, there will be next time, maybe again in person. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Before we had to do these screens, we did these in person. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.